The role of gold in the new global numismatic order and the third chance. The wealth transfer that's taking place during this decade is the greatest wealth transfer in history of mankind. Wealth is never destroyed, it's merely transferred. It has already started with the real estate, and quite soon, through hyperinflation and accumulation of gold, will be fully expanded. And that means that on the opposite side of every crisis there is an opportunity. The great news is that all you have to do to turn this crisis into your great opportunity is to educate yourself. I believe that the best investment that you can make in your lifetime is your own education. Education on the history of money, education on finance, education on how the global economy works. So, if you learn how all this works, you can put yourself on the correct side of this wealth transfer. So let's start with some recent publications relating to everyone, whether we like it or not. Gold, since September 18, 2014, is being valued also in yuan. As you know, gold, as well as other strategic goods, such as oil, are valued exclusively in dollars for many years. Gold, not any longer. This constitutes a very strong knock against the dollar. Another very important communication which has not yet taken the expected dimensions. The European Central Bank, in agreement with all banks in Eurozone, plus Switzerland and Sweden, starting 27th of September 2014, and for the next 5 years, will no longer sell gold. In Switzerland, a truly democratic regime is given the unique opportunity through a referendum taking place on the 13th of November to lead the world back to a resounding monetary policy. A monetary policy that will again have gold as a real value, and in that way restrict the catastrophic practice of uncontrolled printing of its money. Some headline news now that all aim to the demise of dollar and the rise of gold. 23 countries enacted an exception from the dollar in their bilateral trade. Germany and Venezuela repatriate their gold. Germany from America and Venezuela from Canada and England. China has already legislated back in November 2013 the gradual conversion of its dollars, which amounts to a few trillions, into gold. The BRICS countries, which are Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, countries that constitute 18% of the world trade, exit from the dollar in the trade between themselves, established at the same time their own bank and simultaneously store gold. In Zambia, you can even go to prison if you are using dollars. So we see that gradually one country after the other avoid the dollar in their bilateral trade. The ultra-wealthy, those worth 20 millions or more, are rapidly moving out of paper assets and into real assets, such as gold. Here you can see the incredible gold accumulation that occurs for more than 10 years in China. From 700 tons, which was its reserve back in 2000, exceeded 2 years ago, in 2012, the 6,000 tons. This is an increase of almost 1,000%. And as we know, this has drastically speed up the last 2 years. I would now like to go through a brief history of gold, which, as you very well know, is very closely linked to that of the dollar. When the dollar has been printed for the first time, as we presently know it, something that happened somewhere after the American Civil War at Lincoln at 1864, on every dollar was written that this certifies that there have been deposited in the Treasury of the United States of America X amount of dollars in gold coins payable to the bearer of demand. The dollar, as any other currency in circulation worldwide, was a claim check, which was certifying that the holder was also the owner of an analog value in gold. Gold was the true value, not the bill. That means that the paper currency is like the claim check that we are obtaining from the dry cleaner when we are delivering our shirt for cleaning. This claim check certifies that we are the holder of the real value, which is our shirt. The value of gold was set then at $20 per ounce, and appropriate money has been printed based on the quantity of gold in the US Treasury. This monetary system has lasted for some 30 years and has been given the name Classical Gold Standard. In 1916, the year the Fed, the Central Bank of America, has been founded, the system changed and 2.5 times more paper money could be printed compared to the gold reserves. That means that for $20 in gold value stored, the amount of $50 could be given in circulation. This monetary system, also known as the gold exchange standard, lasted again for some 30 years, until the end of World War II in 1944, where in 1944 took place a conference in Bretton Woods in Eastern America, and the next monetary order has been decided. They set the value of an ounce of gold at $35, whereby the analog paper money has been printed and given to the circulation. Furthermore, it has been agreed on a defined rate of the other world currencies relative to the dollar. In this way, gold still continued to be the benchmark for the money in circulation. Until again, after 30 years, Nixon announced the definitive divorce to gold from the dollar. This has been done because America could no longer support its money in circulation by its gold reserves, which had started to decline dramatically. And this was the beginning of the end, as we are experiencing today. This last act of the drama, which has been launched back in 1971, is called dollar standard, and is heading today, after again 40 years, to its end. So we are seeing that mankind, during the last 100 and something years, has created several global monetary systems, which each one had a lifespan of around 30 to 40 years. Now, the question is, where are we heading to this time? Besides that, nothing is forever. Our generation has the dollar, before that was the British pound, before that the French franc, the Holland guilders, and so forth. Whichever the world power has been, it took advantage of its currency in the global trade. I would like now, based on this brief history of money, and in combination with the prior information provided, including the collapse of dollar as an international currency, and the observed accumulation of gold from many countries in order to support their currencies, to ask you for your full attention to the next slides, where the obvious explanation will be given to the question, what will be the answer of gold to this clearly emerging new monetary order? On the next slides, we will follow the evolution of the monetary base versus the value of gold in the treasury of the US. US has still accumulated in its treasury the highest amount compared to any other country, which amounts to 8,600 tons. The monetary base is the value of money in circulation, and we are referring here only to the dollar, which is almost 70% of the world monetary base, and over 50% of the printed dollars is located outside the United States. So we can see that from 1900 until the creation of the Central Bank of America, the quantity of money in circulation was in accordance to the value of gold stored, and this was standing to a few hundred millions. In 1916, as you may remember, the printed money exceeded 2.5 times the value of gold in the treasury, which now had reached the amount of $6 billion. In 1934 now, gold overnight has been appreciated 3.5 times, and its value could again support the value of money in circulation, which at that time had risen to $10 billion. This was the first great opportunity of enrichment overnight, which occurred during the last 80 years. The needs of the Second World War again triggered America to print money in larger quantities than the reserves in gold could support, and rise again to 40 billion. This bad policy got extremely large dimensions in the years that followed, where the exporting machines, especially the ones from Germany's and Japan's, gradually forced America to be converted from an exporting country to a country that was importing many and expensive industrial goods, like cars and appliances. Finally, came the fateful year 1971, where, as we mentioned earlier, Nixon gave the final divorce to gold from the dollar, because gold could no longer support the dollar in circulation. The aftermath of this divorce was that America started legally the fatal race of the uncontrolled printing of money. This phenomenon has been further exacerbated with the invention of the already most widely known credit card. Now, the second great opportunity in the last 80 years for getting rich overnight was presented in 1980, in which year the value of gold has been appreciated more than 20 times, and in that way it grabbed again the value of money in circulation. And we are coming now to the year 2015, where the uncontrolled printing of dollars has reached approximately the 7 trillions, while the value of gold in the treasury does not exceed the $500 billion. This is the third opportunity to get rich overnight for everybody who is well informed and appropriately prepared. With a 1 gram gold bar, someone can comfortably live for 1 month. With a 100 grams gold bar, which is our frequent remuneration from our work that you can see in my video with the title Systemic Investment in Gold Bars of the company Emgoldex, you may comfortably go through 3 to 5 years. The question posed here is not whether this will happen or not, but when this will happen. That is, which Monday morning, because these important issues are always decided during the weekends, so that there will be no any reaction time and the banks are closed, that we will hear in our television that the price of gold rose by 20 times and grabbed the $26,000 mark. Because this is the price that gold has to be appreciated in order to support the dollars in circulation. Something that America is needing urgently in order to be able to continue claiming its superiority on the planet Earth. To quote Voltaire back in 1729, paper currencies eventually return to their intrinsic value. And of course, he was implying gold. In this presentation, you had the opportunity to learn about what is going to happen and why. However, all of us are now experiencing the consequences of this new economic environment, with the depreciation of our property and our labor. In my video with the title Systemic Investment in Gold Bars, you can learn how to get prepared for what is unlikely not to happen, and at the same time to learn how to gain financial independence and get paid either in gold bars or in paper money. Thank you for listening.